The brief teaching this morning that I have is on the topic of fasting. So there are two aspects that I want to draw upon here. What do we mean when we talk about fasting, and what is the normal day in, day out, week in, week out fasting practice of the church? Well, often when we talk about fasting, we are only referring to the quality of food. And so, of course, things like during Great Lent, there's no meat, there's no dairy. It's saying what foods we do not eat. Now, the thing that we don't talk about as much, but probably needs a note there, is also the quantity of food that we eat. So there is a way in which you could be during Great Lent, you could have a mound of spaghetti with a mound of shrimp on top. And in terms of the quality of food, according to the Lenten fasting rules, you're okay. But you're being a glutton. So there's also this element when we talk about fasting, especially during Great Lent, that we focus on smaller quantities of food, as well as the quality, eliminating the meat and the dairy there. So that's what we have there. Now, there are occasions when we talk about not eating food at all, and so fasting in that sense. And probably the most notable, and I mentioned this a few weeks ago, is there is this idea of fasting before communion on Sundays. And that is the idea that from midnight, Saturday night, until you receive communion, you don't eat anything. And so in that sense it is, you don't eat anything at all. You can completely abstain from food. Of course, the idea with that fast, and fasting in that sense, is you're preparing that on the first day of the week, the first thing that you actually eat is the body and blood of Christ. So, that's a general talk about fasting. What is the normal fasting practice, day in, day out, week in, week out, in the Orthodox Church? We look at a week, and we say we fast, so lesser quantity of food if possible, but also the quality, no meat, no dairy, on Wednesdays and Fridays. And I hope most of you know that. But part of the question might be, why Wednesdays and Fridays? Well, an interesting thing in the life of the church is that there is a theme for each day of the week. The obvious one that we all know about is Sunday is always about the resurrection. So we can work backwards from that. What might be the theme on Friday? It's the cross and the crucifixion. And so that's a somber occasion that we remember, week in, week out. And so that's designated as a fasting day. And of course, as Orthodox Christians, we don't do things the simple way and the straightforward way. There is more to kind of have us live through this thing. What led to Jesus Christ being crucified on the cross? Judas betrayed him on Wednesday. And so Wednesday we fast to remember that somber betrayal of Judas. And so we kind of get to replay Holy Week every week with those fasting practices. And of course, outside of these fasting seasons, you don't fast on Sunday, ever. So we kind of have those highs and lows, as it were. All right, that's the teaching this week, brief teaching.